Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatpadeshatarine. This mantra, Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda, is called Panchatattva mantra. We usually chant it before we chant Hare Krishna mantra. The whole our philosophy and lifestyle mainly builds around this mantra, which you can see right there in the picture. And by the way, welcome everyone for today's Sunday feast, and especially those who have come here for the first time. I'm not here originally myself, but have been here already for like 15 years. So everything is relative in a way. Today we are celebrating appearance day of Srivas Thakur. That's an amazing personality, and he is one of the members of Panchatattva. When I mentioned the Panchatattva mantra, there is also Panchatattva Pranam mantra, which we chant when we perform some yajnas. And I was thinking to speak about this Panchatattva Pranam because it basically specifies all the personalities, all the representatives of Panchatattva, and explains their role and why we are worshipping them, why all of them are important for us to really grasp this idea of bhakti, of love, of spiritual, transcendental, loving relationship. And I'd like to chant this mantra with all of you together. We can go line by line. I chant and you repeat. Okay? Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavatara Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. So this mantra, as mentioned, is explaining the tattva of Panchatattva. Tattva means the truth. And Srivas Thakur plays a special role in that Panchatattva. Not like exceptional role, but very special. All of them are special in a way. But sometimes you get such a quiz, with like 5 objects, and choose one which doesn't fit in here. It doesn't mean that Srivas Thakur doesn't fit, but yeah, we'll get closer to it. And the layout of today's lecture is that I'll give some introduction explaining this Panchatattva, and we'll make a humble attempt to understand it myself, of course. And after that, Mataji Udaranga will read some leelas, some pastimes of Srivas Thakur. So, Panchatattvatmakam Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the origin of all origins. Basically, God. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 3rd chapter of the 1st canto, it said, Ete cham shakalak pumsam Krishna stu bhagavan swayam indari vyakulam lokam mridayanti yuge yuge. But basically Krishna mridayanti yuge yuge, so he's like from yuga to yuga, he comes here in various forms to basically establish the absolute truth, to re-establish it, to give this knowledge. When Srimad Bhagavatam appears, it says Puranarko Dhunodikaha, so it appears like this sunset, like the sun of the knowledge. And why this verse is important, it establishes Krishna's position. Ete cham shakalach pumsam Krishna stu bhagavan swayam. So Krishna is the source, the initial source of all other avatars, expansions of him. Prabhupada, when translating this verse, using the word or just the phrase plenary portion. What does plenary mean? That's an interactive question.
Part or part of
Oh,
the part?
plenary. Portion is part, but plenary portion. What does plenary mean? Well, sometimes we have, meetings in our, some of you work in the companies, and companies are divided into teams, and oftentimes there are team meetings where people basically discuss various things, how to do this project, this aspect of this project, how to achieve this milestone and so on. But there is also a plenary meeting. Plenary means when all the company comes all together and they discuss some fundamental principle. So basically, plenary portion means the complete. It is part, but it is a complete part. Why am I explaining all this? Basically, because all the representatives of Panchatattva have to do with this. Eti chamsha, cha amsha, kalach pumsam. So there's amshas and kalach. So there's like portions, like plenary portions, as Prabhupada is saying, and portions of plenary portions. So all of them are, in a way, represented in Panchatattva. Bhakti Rupa It's a Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam. So this line describes Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda. Lord Chaitanya is Bhakta Rupa. I would like to ask for an excuse for those for the first time. There will be some terminology today. That's because of the topic we are discussing. And Bhakta Rupa means Bhakta is a devotee, and Rupa means a form or a shape. So Lord Chaitanya, when descends here, assumes this shape and form of a devotee. And Lord Nityananda, Balaram himself, is also in the form of devotee. And he is Bhakta Svarupa. Svarupa, what does Svarupa mean? So the word Svarupa basically defines the distinction between what Bhakta Rupa and Svarupa is. Because one can actually ask, what is the difference? One comes as a devotee and the other comes as a devotee. And we will see that even all of others, they also come as devotees. But okay, let us wait with that. We just concentrate on Bhakta Rupa and Svarupa. So basically the idea that Lord Chaitanya comes here temporarily and assumes this form of a devotee for some specific mission. But Bhakta Svarupa means that Lord Nityananda or Balarama Boyle on Nitai. So Balaram comes from the spiritual world and assumes this form of Nityananda. Is a devotee by its original nature. That's what Svarupa means, the original, eternal nature. We also have our eternal, original nature as a spiritual being. And so Lord Krishna, basically Balarama is Krishna himself. That's one person. I'm Krishna here, and I extend myself as Balaram. And that's me, and that's also me, because I observe you from here, and I observe you from here. I'm not at all. Thing is that that's one person, but Balaram, Krishna extends him in the form of Balaram, because Balaram extends himself as all the paraphernalia, all the ornaments of Krishna, all the garments of Krishna, so that make Krishna's enjoyment more comfortable in the spiritual world, in any world, wherever Krishna comes. Balaram follows his paraphernalia and arranges everything in a perfect way. That's the goal and nature of Balaram. But Krishna, even though coming here in the form Rupa of a devotee, he remains the Vishaya Vigraha, the object of worship. He always remains the one who enjoys and relishes the service of others, of devotees who come and sincerely clean the kitchen after the Sunday feast. Yeah, because all the service we perform, it's interesting that the mood of Lord Nityananda and Lord Balaram, when Rupa Goswami explains the nature of love and this devotional service, Bhakti Seva, he says that Bhakti Seva is manifested in a creative name, in the form of creativeness. That's the nature of Bhakti. Creative means that I basically do care when I do something. I perform this activity out of something I feel for that particular person, for the sake of whom I'm doing this. I have that feeling, and out of that feeling, in order to make that personality happy, I'm trying my best to do it as better as possible, as more beautiful as possible, as more clean as possible, as more tasty as possible. That's how bhakti is represented, and that's something that Lord Nityananda is teaching us, being the original guru. Guru teaches us our original nature, and that nature is to serve out of love. And then it says Bhakta Avatara, Bhakta Kya, Namami Bhakta Shaktika. Bhakta Avatara is who? Is, yes, Advaita Acharya, exactly. If someone is very shy, or just yeah, Advaita Acharya. He is incarnation of Mahavishnu, Bhakta Avatar. So basically, Avatar is an expansion of Balaram. How it usually happens, there is Krishna in the original spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavana, having some pastimes with gopis, covered boys, covered girls, some cows and everything. And there is also Vaikuntha, where Vishnu represents himself as a Mahavishnu. He enjoys the Shanta and Dasya rasa and taste of service. And there is also Vishnu in the form of taking care of this world. And that's basically the difference between Bhakta Sarupa and Bhakta Avatar. You still don't get it. Neither do I, but still I'm trying. Thing is that basically even Krishna and Balaram and even all the avatars, like portions, like plenary portions, they all are the very same personality as Krishna himself. All of them are expansions. They are not different personalities. These are like different expansions which are manifested because of a specific purpose. And the difference between Swarupa and Avatar means that basically it's Krishna still represents himself like this. But difference is not substantial. Substantial means, as I mentioned already, is the same person. But the difference is the difference is functional and emotional. The bhav is the difference. Because, as mentioned, Balaram represents himself as all that paraphernalia to make Krishna's pastimes more beautiful, more comfortable, more enjoyable, and all that. So he arranges himself with the Bodhidham, the forests, and everything. But Vishnu, Mahavishnu, his goal is to take care of this material creation, that everything is going according to its purpose, and it's like completely different mood. But still, it's a representation of Krishna. And Advaita comes in this form, or just incarnation of Mahavishnu. And Bhakta Khyam, or just, okay, let's say Bhakta Shakti. Bhakta Shakti. Bhakta Shakti is, and that's actually where things are getting more subtle. It's subtle from the very beginning, of course, but the position of Gadadhar, which is Bhakta Shakti in this mantra, is special because Krishna comes here in order to what? He has heard that Srimati Radharani enjoys, like feels a lot of ecstasy while being a servant of Krishna, arranging him, like having relationship, bhakti, and loving Krishna. Like she experienced so much happiness and joy. And Krishna is envious, like, okay, so she's experiencing such a bliss, I want that too. And thus Krishna assumes this golden-like form, and he steals the mood of Srimati Radharani. Now I want to feel that myself. And then he comes as a devotee, Bhakta Rupa. And Srimati Radharani remains bereaved of that feeling. Oh, no. And then she comes here, not like without any bhakti or anything like that. No, she comes here also as a pure devotee, Gadadhar Pandit. It's a manifestation of Srimati Radharani. But the difference is why at all she comes, because okay, so her mood is stolen, Krishna comes, but why Ganadhar is coming? That's very actually a sacred thing that in the spiritual world, Radharani, has such a proud behavior. She might tease Krishna in a way here and there in various leelas, and she is very daring and stubborn sometimes, such a character. But here in this Leela, Gadadhar Pandit comes very shy, very submissive, devoted, like this. But the idea is that Gadadhar comes as mirroring, as a mirror to reflect and to absorb how Lord Chaitanya, Krishna himself, assumes her attitude, her mood. And she enjoys observing how Krishna is enjoying that mood. She wanted to enjoy seeing that. And that's why she comes as a Gadadhar to witness all that. That's a very beautiful and sacred thing. And that's Bhakti Shakti, the energy of Bhakti, love. And Bhaktakyam, it's Gadadhar. No, there is no Gadadhar there anymore. He was there. And he is still present there and enjoying seeing devotees come here and relishing kirtan, chanting pastimes, because that's the special position and the nature of Gadadhar. Gadadhar represents the Jiva Tattva in Srivas Thakur represents the Jiva Tattva, means the souls as we are here, as a pure devotee. Because Pancha Tattva as a truth must be complete. And when Krishna comes as a like in the form of devotee and performs this pastime, it cannot be complete without a devotee present in all that tattva. And that's why Srivas Thakur comes as a devotee. He actually is a manifestation of Narada Muni. Narada Muni is also one of the Mahajans, the great personality that travels across the world. And actually he comes, his story, when Satyaraj Prabhu is explaining it in his book about Panchatattva, that's very funny and interesting. That whenever there is any, so to say, actor, or let's call it spelare, in a movie, and even though they might play some different roles in this movie and that movie, but they have their kind of signature, that they are recognizable not only with their face but with some kind of behavior, like Keanu Reeves in The Matrix, might behave in this way. and Keanu Reeves in John Wick, you might still feel some kind of signature of his way of acting. And Narada Muni here, you know the story of Narada Muni, that he used to be this demigod, enjoying, with women and like that, playing, living this mundane, enjoying lifestyle in this material world. And then he got cursed.
By his own father.
Yeah, even so. And then there is the story how he actually, all that curse leads him to being a devotee. And basically, Satyaraj Prabhu is explaining that it's similar with Gadadhar. That until 16, he actually was a devotee completely. He didn't care about spiritual life. Even though he originates from a Brahmin family, he didn't really care. He just lived a normal life or something. But then at 16, he got cursed by some guru, some Brahman in that village, that you basically don't listen. We tell you don't listen. You will die in 1 year. And what he did, he just no one wants to die basically, and no one really wants to think about it. Such a miserable thing. And he started thinking like, okay, so what shall I do? Okay, so I give a vow now. Throughout this year, I will achieve the perfection of life. And he started like studying Shastras, and in Padma Purana, he found a beautiful verse. Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam, kalau nastyeva, nastyeva, nastyeva gatiranyatha. And it says that only holy name is the only way to achieve the perfection of life. And from that time, he took it seriously and started practicing. Because that's basically what he has been doing throughout his entire life. He got it as a mission. We know that there is this Shiva Sangam, the place in the house of Srivas Thakur, where devotees, Lord Chaitanya's associates, would perform kirtan. Basically, as being a devotee, being a pure devotee, Srivas Thakur would like everyone, absolutely everyone, to join this kirtan. But Lord Chaitanya was a bit picky in a way, so he ordered Srivas Thakur to have some kind of a face control in his Shiva Sangha. But it's not like face control literally, but more like heart control. That he had some ways of defining how people, whether or not one has bhava bhakti or not. If they wouldn't have bhava bhakti, he would not let them inside. Because, he wanted to arrange Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, being so basically he wanted Lord Chaitanya to feel, to enjoy that process of loving bhava, chanting of kirtan. But anyway, those who couldn't, they could hear that some jamming is happening there in that Shiva Sangha all the time, and they would be a bit jealous, and it's like, oh, they're having some fun there, why we are not allowed to enter that. And these people would divide into two groups. Some of them would, that as we sometimes are not let something and not allowed something, and we can start criticize that. Okay, but why would I care? It's just anyway, it's a bad thing. And it can be a good thing, but we need to justify for ourselves why actually what we are not allowed actually in order to pacify. Okay, so it's anyway something unimportant. But there are some other group who actually liked and really estimated that and respected that. And in this way, those were the ones whom Lord Chaitanya would actually preach They wouldn't criticize, they would respect, and they would ask, but how to get there, how to join this kirtan? And then Lord Chaitanya would tell them, do this and that, and you will basically at some point of time be eligible for that. And at some point, Lord Chaitanya would say, you know that we are doing it for like 12 hours or so a day, but then why wouldn't we do it at night as well? Why would we lose the night time? And they would say, okay, wow, that's such a wonderful idea, and they would do kirtan the whole day, 24/7 in the Shiva Sangam. And that was the role of Srivas Thakur to arrange. And at some point of time, that's actually an important point I wanted to raise. That Lord Chaitanya asked once Srivas Thakur, but you see, you're a family man. You're a family man. But basically what you are doing here is just you're feeding, you are accepting devotees, you are doing all that sankirtana, but you have children, you have servitors, you have here and so much here. How do you maintain all that? For sure you do it. Yeah. How do you maintain this? And Srivas Thakur said, well, I don't know. I just clap and everything appears. Lord Chaitanya said, wait. How do you mean clap? But he says, very simple. I clap once, nothing appears. I clap a second time, nothing appears still. And if nothing appears after a second, and I clap, and if after third time nothing appears, I just put the heavy weight on my head, on my neck, and just go, and I will go and jump into Ganges river. And Lord Chaitanya actually understood his heart. And here one has to understand a very important point. One might think that, okay, so like this is a very careless and fanatic person. And in this way, some people, that's actually called escapism, they might think that, okay, so it's so difficult to live in this world, to have family, to work. I would better go and do kirtan and whatever Krishna thinks, desires. If Krishna wants, I will have this, I will have that. And Srivas Thakur wasn't that careless person. The key thing, the important thing here, is not that he doesn't have any responsibility, like work here and there. He would really want to go and to work, because what we as devotees, as those who learn to be a devotee, we want to serve Krishna, but we don't want to engage Krishna in the service to us, or just we want Krishna to serve us as less as possible, to be our slave or whatever. So Krishna, please give me house, give me money. I just want to do as less as possible, but I want to have money, a lot of money for this. It's not the mood of the devotee. Neither it was a mood of Srivas Thakur. But the key thing is that whatever he was doing, it was an order of his guru. Guru told him, please serve the devotees, engage them in the Sankirtana Yajna. So that's what he was doing. He was faithfully following his guru's order. And that's why Krishna was arranging that, because the guru's order is also Krishna's arrangement. But if we want to act whimsically, just maybe if Krishna desires, I don't know what to do, whether or not this or that, whatever Krishna give me something, then it will be like that. It's just a careless attitude. We don't want to engage Krishna. this is a very important learning from the pastimes of Srivas Thakur. And now I would like Mataji Udaranga to read some pastimes. With the clapping. Because everything was arranged by Krishna. Yeah, because he was just following the Guru order, arranging that, and everything else was just sorted out.
But this is a tremendous power in following our Guru's direct instructions.
Yes.
It's a tremendous power.
Power and also faith, as you were mentioning today about his tremendous faith. Yeah, so there was faith and yeah, in the instructions of Guru.
There was also when you said that when I clap 3 times and nothing happens, then I go and sink in the water. But he said, but it never happens. So
Yeah.
so everything was arranged in
Yeah.
Twitter.
Yeah, that's good addition that he actually never went and jumped into the Ganges.
It sounds so dramatic and advanced.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sometimes Krishna's expansions and associates, they demonstrate some things in a very extreme way. Because if we just explain something in a very plain way, as my voice has this plain equalized tone, then we have big chances to miss an important point. But when it's presented in an extreme way, we aha, that is the point. Yes, so.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Jaya Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. How many of you recognize this book? This is Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. And the author is Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. And he is a direct disciple of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. This is one of the parts. There are 7 books. Might come one more. So all glories to Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, and all glories also to Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami. Who is this? Who is he? Anyone knows who is Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami?
Chaitanya Charitamrita.
He wrote the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So these 2 books, they are wonderfully describing the pastimes, the tattva, everything about Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, Shishipasa tattva. And some days ago, I got such an urge to share with you wonderful pastimes which actually are described in this part of Chaitanya Bhagavat. So I was thinking, okay, so we shall share it on this day of Srivas Pandit's appearance festival, because in Srivas Pandit's house, especially Lord Nityananda Prabhu, he felt very at home there. And we have heard about Lord Nityananda, he's the most magnanimous one, he's the one who saves those who are actually not freed by Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya, he was freeing those who are very learned scholars. They were very sophisticated, very exalted by knowledge and everything. But Lord Nityananda, he was sent to Bengal by Lord Chaitanya to save those low-born, wretched, more or less useless ones. So he did so. And there in Navadvip Dham, in Srivas Pandit's house, he was there, and actually he lived there along with Srivas Pandit and his wife Malini Devi. And little later, all this kirtan pastimes manifested there. So there is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is one verse. It says, Nityananda Balite Haya Krishna Premodaya Aulaya Sakala Anga Ashu Ganga Vaya. But that means that if you just hear about Lord Nityananda, your whole body will shake by happiness, and tears will fall like streams, like Ganga from your eyes. So Lord Nityananda is always happy. You see here, on the wall, he's done, and he's here on the altar. And so I will now read for you. This is the scripture. This is the book where everything is very properly for everyone to analyze and describe and like this. For many, many, many years ago, I think it was around 1900, end of 80s or beginning of the 90s or something, I got a very strong feeling I want to learn to know Lord Nityananda. Who is he? What's his quality? How is he doing? So I asked my spiritual master what to do now. I want to learn to know Lord Nityananda. He said, you will read Chaitanya Bhagavat. So I started to read. I was thinking, wow, this is just a gold mine. And at that time I was also serving at Hare Krishna Center at Rina's Plan. There was next house, we had Radio Krishna studio. And that Prabhu, who was in charge of that, was like next house or something. He passed through there where I was serving, and he was doing the Radio Krishna, and I told him, I have found something super, you cannot match it. He said, what? Chaitanya Bhagavat. Oh yes, he said, I know about it, and I was thinking so many times, oh, this could be wonderful for Radio Krishna. So I started actually to translate these books, all of them. But at that time, so many years ago, it was not in the book form yet. And dear Brahma Muhurta Prabhu, who is the head of BBT, in Koshnaspur, there is BBT, and he was so kind, he printed out, so I had these 300 pages with the whole thing. And once I asked my Guru, is it you? Is it your writing? Did you translate this? I'm not the doer. So somehow he said, well, yes and no. So actually I don't know, but I find by the way the way it is translated, it is his style, kind of. And so the books, there you have the Bengali, you have the translation, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he has given the purport for the verses. But this one is kind of, it's telling all the same things, but not with this Bengali and translation and purports. It is more like, you're telling me about what has happened in this book. So I translated from these papers. And this is just a little part, but there's so many people. And so actually I'm very, familiar with these. So therefore today, when I want to share with you, then I use them. Because I feel like familiar, home with them, something. And this was before the Sankirtan pastimes actually started, just before. And it's told here that Lord Chaitanya, he performed the wonderful pastimes there in Navadvip, along with Lord Nityananda Prabhu. And Advaita Acharya Prabhu, we have heard about him, he was assisting, and also many other Vaishnavas, they were dancing and chanting. But at that time, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, he was in, he lived with, as I said, with Srivas Thakur and his wife Malini. At that time, Nityananda Prabhu, he manifested a mood of a little boy. And I don't know how many of you who have been here during the years when we were celebrating Lord Nityananda's appearance day, we sing a song, Sri Nityananda, eternal joy, dancing in the mood of a little cowherd boy. So he has this mood, you see. And so he manifested that. He wouldn't, he's a grown-up person, like we see from our point of view, with material vision. And actually he's 12 years older than Lord Chaitanya, than Nimai. So, it's like a grown-up person. But he was, they used to say that he's Abadut. You know Abadut? How many of you understand this word? Raise your hand. Okay. So Abadut person, he is totally absorbed on the spiritual plan. And he, especially Lord Nityananda, his whole person is just filled and overflowing with love for Lord Chaitanya. So whatever he does, he does it for the pleasure of Lord Chaitanya. So he was acting like a little boy, and yes, he didn't eat himself actually. Mother Malini, she had to feed him, like you feed your sons, put the food in the mouth of them. And really also at one point of time, Malini, she was older. She was Thakur and Malini, they were older, much older than many of the Vaishnavas. And they were friends with Jagannath Mishra and Satyamata, and they were also quite to the age, mothers of Lord Chaitanya. So actually, Lord Nityananda, he wanted to have breast milk. So he indicated that, and Malini, she knows his mood. She knows who is Nityananda. She had no sense. So she just held him to her breast. And she was so much elderly, she didn't have any milk in her breast. Oh God. Yes, and when Nityananda started to suck her breast, milk was coming, like training. No, he can do anything. He can see all of us. Yes, so this was very funny things also, because Lord Chaitanya, he was once discussing something with Srivas Pandit, and he wanted to test Srivas. He said, why do you keep this Avaduta in your house? You don't even know anything about him, who he is really, and where he comes from, and what is his family background. I warn you that you are being too lenient and kind to him. If you want to maintain a good reputation of your family in society, then you should immediately turn this Avaduta out of your house. Okay. So, Srivas Pandit said, Lord, it is not proper for you to test me in this way. I know that Lord Nityananda is your expansion. You are the Supreme Lord, and there is no difference between yourself and Lord Nityananda. I am your servant, and anyone who serves you becomes my master. Even if Lord Nityananda was a meat eater, drunkard, and due to his association, I would lose my reputation, my wealth, and everything. Still, I tell you truly, my Lord, I would never think of anything else than serving his and yours and your lotus feet. So this is Srivas Pandit. He has firm conviction. He knows who they are. He knows what service to them means. So hearing this, what Srivas Pandit said, Lord Chaitanya, he stood up and he roared loudly with great joy. What have I just heard from you, Srivas Pandit? You have so much faith and love for Nityananda Prabhu. You have understood the truth about my most dear, most confidential associate. This has pleased me so much that I grant you this boon. Even if there comes a time when your house will even if there comes a time when Lakshmi Devi, goddess of fortune, if she has to go with a begging bowl, for begging, you in this house, including your servants, your cats, your dogs, everyone, they will find shelter, complete shelter in my devotional service, and therefore I leave Nityananda in your care. So Lord Chaitanya, he gave the responsibility to take care of Lord Nityananda. Yes. So Lord Nityananda spent his time, he was roaming about in Navadvip. Sometimes he went to the Ganga to take a swim and happily allowed the currents to carry him. Once when he was also out with Haridas Thakur, that was a little later, he stood at the shore and he saw the crocodiles in the Ganga, they're big, big teeth. And Nityananda Prabhu just jumped into the water and started swimming and playing with his crocodiles. And Haridas Thakur, he was standing there on the side of the Ganga and he said, "No, come back, it's very dangerous." So, who can be afraid, Nityananda, how can he be afraid?
Didn't he wrestle with the crocodiles also? Didn't he wrestle with the crocodiles?
Yeah, he did everything.
I heard that he was wrestling with the crocodiles. Yes. So he was kind of acting like a small child, but he is the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Servant Lord. So Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Lord, and also Nityananda is also Supreme Lord, but he's the Serving Lord, Supreme Serving Lord. And as a young boy, in the mood of a young boy, Lord Nityananda, he was chasing after Mother Sachi, so Lord Chaitanya's mother. When she was out there, he was just running after her and should touch her lotus feet, but then always she escaped and she ran away from him. Yeah, and there's a wonderful dream. No, Mother Sachi was dreaming something but I think I will tell you this at another time, because I really want to tell to you about that Lord Chaitanya, they were starting little to perform congregational chanting of Krishna's holy name in our group. Although it was told that the eternal servants of Lord Udaranga, they took birth in different parts of Bengal, but somehow or other they began to come to Navadvip, and they found out that the Lord has appeared. They understood that Lord Chaitanya is Krishna. So as the devotees are very, very dear to the Lord, the devotees are very, very dear to the Lord, and he's also, the devotees are very, very dear to him, and the Lord freely mixed with all the devotees, and he embraced them so lovingly that each one of them, they felt like, oh, I am the most prominent, but, like that. Okay, and some days Lord Chaitanya was absorbed in the mood of the gopis, and he was weeping and weeping continuously, and he forgot about time and everything. Sometimes he felt like Uddhava, and sometimes he felt like Akrura, and crying in separation. And sometimes he was in the mood of Lord Balaram. We heard about Lord Balaram here. And then he demanded wine, and the devotees, they understood his mind, and they went to the Ganga and took, the clay pots with water, and he said, yes, please. Yes. Oh, Mother Sachi, she was seeing how this chanting and dancing and all these things, they made Mother Sachi so extremely happy. But one thought, a dreadful thought crossed her mind, that, oh, what happens if my son will leave home? He did it later on, he took sannyasa. Och sen this and that. Yeah. So we heard also from Prabhu, he was telling that at one point there was this question raised that, you, my brothers, please hear the essential teachings of all scriptures. Why should we waste our nights in useless activities? Let us make a firm resolution from today to spend the nights engaged in the most auspicious activities. And that is what? What is the most auspicious activity we can do?
Whole name.
Yeah. Voilà. And so all of us, we will drown in the divine deluge, as if the flood of devotional ecstasy is gushing like Ganga Devi. So let the whole world be delivered by hearing the holy name. In that way, you will become everyone's spiritual life giver and beloved treasure. So the Vaishnavas, they were so happy, because this is what they had been longing for so much. So the Lord and the devotees in Srivas Pandit's house, they performed kirtan. For some days they would also meet in Chandrasekhar's house. And these kirtans would be attended by so many devotees, the Lord's very dear servants, that all their names cannot possibly be remembered. Lord Nityananda was there, of course, with Gadadhara Pandit, Advaita Acharya, Srivas Pandit. and Vijayanidhi, Murari, Hiranya, Haridas Thakur. You know, we can also wonder why all these names are here. Why I should read all those names and many lines of their names. It is like this: when we read the names of the devotees, we get purified. But they are so dear to the Lord that when we read like this, these names, then it's contagious love transfers to us. But the atheists, they were so envious. They clapped their thighs and jumped up and pouring streams of offenses, very much. They said all this loud howling and wild dancing after a good wine book. As soon as they get night time, it is robbing us of our entire night's precious sleep. These imposters entice women to them with their hypnotic enchants and enjoy them the whole night. So the atheists, they always have these arguments. So it's like that. As soon as the kirtan begins, the Lord comes in trance and he becomes oblivious of the phenomenal world. And dancing, he falls to the ground with such a force that the earth quakes and cracks in many places. The devotees look at him and wonder, they were afraid, what will happen, what he's doing. And as the Lord's tender body contacts the hard surface, Satyamata, the mother of Lord Chaitanya, she closes her eyes silently and prays to Lord Govinda for his protection. And Satyamata, she knows that Nima is in spiritual trance, but due to her intense love for him, she feels, oh Krishna, please grant me the wish that I may not know when Nima hurls himself to the ground. Please grant me this mercy, Krishna. Although for Nima there is no pain, but actually bliss is only bliss. But I will be happy to remain unaware of all this. Can you imagine your mother, if they will dance like that and crash to the ground and jump up there and then the phone, how you will feel? You will say, oh, Govinda, help. And so sometimes the Lord exhibited his mood of the omnipotent supreme controller, and then at other times he wept in humility and said, I am your servant. He went from one devotee to another. He said, I am your servant. Falling down to the floor. Anyway, so there were different kirtan groups. They emerged from the group of devotees. And Srivas Pandit, he headed one group, Mukunda another, and Govinda yet another. They all sang, and the Lord, he was dancing and dancing. And Nityananda Prabhu, he was circumambulating the dancing Lord, while Advaitacharya Prabhu, he was stealing, lifted up dust from their feet. But the Lord Chaitanya was dancing and put it on his head. That's what he wanted. Yes. And Gadadhara Pandit and others, they experienced divine exhilaration and looked at the Lord with tearful eyes. Lord Chaitanya would begin to weep, weeping and weeping during the kirtans, and it continued minimum for an hour. His long, he had long curly hair, black, beautiful locks, and when he was dancing and he was on the floor and like that, it become a little uncomfortable. And also on the ground with his hair, and he didn't make any attempt to arrange it. So, when he was weeping like that and dancing like that, and just being on the floor and like that. Devotees, they couldn't remain to be unmoved. They were so moved in their hearts to see this. And then suddenly, Lord Chaitanya began to laugh, and he laughed, and he laughed, and he could do it for time, hours and hours. And then he would jubilantly repeatedly say, I am victorious, I am victorious. And all the devotees, they also said, I am victorious. And so you can see this was kind of a commotion there in Shiva's Pandit's house during these kirtans. They were very, how do you want to see them? Okay. So, yes, so now you have got a little taste how it was wild, in Shiva's Pandit's house. So we are here and today we are celebrating the appearance day of Srivas Thakur, who in his house this whole Sankirtan movement was born. And Lord Chaitanya was there with all the devotees. If any one of you would be very interested to hear the whole, all the books, but actually in Swedish, so I can recommend you to Google to radiokrishna.se. And then you can hear. So you go in there, and then you click on my name, Udaranga, and then you have 63 programs, I think, half an hour each. And you can also do it to learn Swedish. Training, exercising Swedish language. So it's there, you can hear it. Okay, so thank you so much for eagerly listening to the pastimes of Shiva's Pandit, Udaranga, Nityananda.